Well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Barstools
Bandtalk, the complete maritime music bucket list. Let me tell you something. I don't even know where to start. We got a barn burner tonight, and when you see this young lady, good Lord. Dave talked to her a little bit yesterday. We just had a little chat before we started recording. This is going to be unreal. I get the hair on my arms is standing up getting ready for this one. It's going to be so good. I watched a little documentary today about her. I have a ton of stuff. I'm not even a list taker. Anybody that knows me, I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm a little bit prepared tonight. I'm super excited about this.
Folks, I don't even know where, like Sean said, there's so much history. There's 40 years of performing at world-class levels. You might remember her from a little band called The Headpins. You might remember her from the Darby Mills Project. She's got a new project that she's excited about today. We're going to hear all about it. And please welcome to Barstools and Bandtalk, Miss Darby Mills. We'll keep on clapping.
We'll keep on clapping. How you doing, young lady?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Great to see you.
Awesome.
I was going to try and do this without my glasses on.
I was trying to do the same thing. I'm squinting all the time.
It's just a blur. Can't do it. I'm sorry. Just like the gray, it's here. What do? You know.
You put them on. You go. Oh, I'm going to take them off again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Darby, we had a lot of ground to cover. Let's just jump right into it because, I mean, I gave in your little preamble, I said, you might remember her from a little band called The Headpins, the Darby Mills Project. Now she's got a new project that she's excited about. We're just excited that you're here. And let's take us back to the beginning because you span, I'm going to say 40 years. Is that fair to say in this crazy business?
Yeah, first band was 1970, 76, maybe even 75. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
And what was that?
It was a band called Presence after Led Zeppelin, and I was in grade 10 and grade 11, and we played in my parents' basement. And I remember so proudly my mom talking to the police that came to the basement door, bang, bang, bang. It's like, yes, how can I help you, officer? And it's like, we've got complaints from the neighbors, and it's just, there's just too much noise. And my mom said, you know what, I got 8 kids in my basement right now. They come once a week. They stay here for 3 hours. They play music. They go home. They're not out in the streets bugging anybody, but by all means, you want me to kick them out on the street? Just tell me. And the cop said, I'm sorry. And he let us go. So right there, it was like, you know what? Pick your fights, right? You know what really is. It's once a week. Get over it. Then again.
Well, that's it. So did you always sound like Darby Mills? I mean, when you started, like, did you just have the voice? Because I mean, obviously everybody knows you from the voice, but did you sound like that when you first started, or was it a kind of a work in progress?
You know what? My dad was an alto, and he had such power when he sang. Although I only heard him sing when I was very little, and so that's kind of how I thought you were to sing. That's what I knew. But in all honesty, that band I was talking about in my parents' basement, after rehearsing for the better part of a month, the guitar player brought the Pearl album to a rehearsal, and he said, you need to listen to this. He says, you sound just like her. So I'm assuming, because I didn't even know who Janis Joplin was at the time, that it was somewhat inherent. But my biggest, besides then learning from her prior to that, I sang the Dreamboat Annie album inside and out. Ann Wilson is who I emulated as a total rookie. The Dreamboat Annie album, you know, it was, as I was speaking earlier, fabric. That was part of my fabric. And Linda Ronstadt, you know, powerful singers. Yeah.
Did you see, you must have seen the documentary that was just out on CNN about her, The Sound of My Voice?
I don't think I have. I have seen stuff on her though, but I don't think I've seen that one. But I'll go check it out for sure, because she was, you know, there are greats that at my 60 plus that I am now, that if like who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
I think about it and I'm like, I watched Sonny and Cher. I watched Tina Turner dancing on Ed Sullivan. Those women were going until Cher's still going. Cher's still going. I was in diapers when I watched her, kind of. But it's like, okay, you know what? If I can hold on to their ethic of just do it. Don't listen to what people say, or take what you can and move on. Hopefully I can live up to their example. I would love to. That's kind of my aim. But as we've all learned in the past 3 months, strange things can come flying at you and change everything. At this point in time, I'm really scared that I'm never going to get back up on stage, in the sense of that it could be 2 years, and in 2 years I don't know what will happen, right? It's not where I'm aiming. I definitely want to get back on stage, but at our age, I'm seeing people leaving us on a steady basis at this age. So and as I said, experiencing my husband who's got some years on me, but still it's like you just don't know. Tomorrow is not a given. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your life.
Darby, let's talk about that for a second, because I mean, I know that's a very pivotal point in your life. I mean, with the tragic loss of your mom, who I know you're very, very close to. And it's funny, I could, and I know Sean's probably resonating with him too. We both had that same mom when we had our own basement bands. It's like, no, bring them on in here. They can't get in trouble. If they drink here, it's okay. At least we know where they are. But we always had people flooded in the basement playing rock music. This is kind of what we did. So I understand that support mechanism that you would have had from your mom, and it must have been hard to lose her. And then again, losing your husband technically 3 times, or almost losing him 3 times. I too, 2 years ago, had a heart attack, and I know it's that something switches in your brain. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do what I used to do anymore because life's too short, you know. So that's the catalyst for the new Darby Mills. Is that fair to say, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that I'd love to have done those without having to leave 36 years of my life. But it was just apparent that wasn't going to happen in that situation. And, few people were saying, you're crazy, you're never gonna. And all I could say was, you know what, I'm never gonna if I don't try.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try, because I just don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it without my husband. He's as key in this as I am, because he represents me to the business end of the business, and I represent me to the public. So it takes a team. It's so important to have a team that works well together. And life is just too short to be fighting at home and fighting at work and fighting with your kids and fight. It's just like, you know what, just like I said, pick your battles, move forward, be true to yourself. And because in the end, the only one that goes with you is you. So, figure it out.
So Darby, this morning, Dave called me, and I was on my way to work, and truthfully not having a great work day. And Dave said, you got to watch the documentary. And I was like, well, I'll do my best. Anyway, I got to work and I said, forget, I'm going to prepare for once in my life. And I watched it this morning, and I told you before I went on, my bad day actually became very good. I said to Dave, there's a lot of stuff in there that inspired me to have a good day, to have whatever. I have a couple of points that I took away from it, and hopefully you don't mind. I'd like to quickly touch on. The first one is your husband. There's a dude I hopefully get to meet sometime. He just seems like super chill, cool dude. His story. I loved when he was working, when he said he was working one day a week at the golf store. I mean, it brings it back to, you know, it tells everybody, hey, everybody isn't, you know, money's not flowing everywhere, especially now, right? So I thought that was very cool. But the thing for me, and I talked to David 3 or 4 times about this, for you to take a group of guys in your band who you said were people back in the day, and you brought them back, to me was just, that was the first thing that struck me, because everybody knows people, you know, they're going to get the cool kid or this or that or the name brand. You took a group of guys that were from a while ago, and gosh darn it, they're a very good band too. Like, what was the catalyst behind that? Because I found that super impressive.
That goes to the point that I was being told I'll never do it. And there was an entity that the likes of myself were part of, and it involved all classic rock bands. And you know, there's just the hierarchy, and I stepped away and created a void, and I just didn't do something that was very popular with some people, and there's that's something that I won't get into, because it's negative and it's unfortunate. Yep. and it still exists right now, which is really unfortunate. But it's that clawing your way in a business that's so crippled. The classic rock business has been crippled for years. This COVID-19 thing, you know, we've been going through this for years. And there's only so many people that run that side of the business. So when you step on those toes, or you don't go with the flow, there's a penalty that you pay. And I knew that walking the line I was walking, and those in the upper echelons of that classic rock probably wouldn't have touched me at the time, because they knew what was going down. So I didn't even go there. I just went, you know what? I had friends back in the 80s that were in the bars with me when I was in a band called Steelback. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I lucked out. MacLeod came to the bar one night, saw me sing, and a week later I was in the Headpins. I lucked out. These boys are all, like you say, they're all as good as anyone else out there. They just didn't have that lucky break. So I didn't want Dave Navarro. I talked with you the other day, yesterday, Dave, about this. I watch Tattoo. I'm getting old.
Ink Master, right? Ink Master.
Ink Master. Thank you. I watch Ink Master steady. I love the show. I hate the competition end of things, but I love the show. And Dave Navarro said on it a couple of weeks back, you know, you can have the best players in the world, but if they've got a bad attitude, why? Go with somebody who might not be as good, but someone who has the right attitude is going to make the big picture smell better. That's kind of ironic.
I think your exact words, Darby Mills, were like, you don't want to be in a band with a dick. I think is what you said.
Did I say that?
Maybe I heard it wrong. I don't know, but
pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And you know what? And we're at the age. I mean, I've gone through a couple players at this point. The first original drummer and bass player that was with the project, they came from a band together, and then the keyboard player and the guitar player came from a band together in the 80s. We brought the two groups together, and unfortunately, that became a push and pull. Those two bands did not see things the same way. No one was right or wrong, but one group decided that was the answer. The other group was like, yeah, whatever. So it's like, okay, who do I want to? I'm cool with it, whatever. As long as they come do their gig and they want to be there. To me, that's important. And we did gel. And so now we've got two new players in the band, and they're awesome. They're friendly. They're, you know, right. Right. Thanks, Dave.
You got to be comfortable, right?
Sorry, what was that?
I say you got to be comfortable with who you work with. You want good players, but you also you need to look back on stage having that feeling of comfort, like, hey, they got my back and they're going to do a good job here, and right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And it's not just the stage. You've got to sit on a plane or in a van or in a bus for I mean, in the old days, it was weeks and months on end. These days, you're lucky if you get 4 shows tagged in a row. That's the reality of classic rock work these days, unless you're the likes of, you know, what's his name, who came back last year and did, yeah, a tour across the country, Corey Hart. He hasn't
Right.
been around for how long? And it's like, holy crap, you know, wow.
Yeah.
You know, no disrespect, but holy crap, man, I'm driving 20 hours for a show of flights now for us to get out to Ontario with pulling 7 people. That's $7,000.
Yeah.
You know, reality is bands don't make, of my stature, don't make 30 grand. I'm not coming home. We're not coming home with money in our pocket. We're coming home going, okay, we got work. Maybe next year we'll make more. The problem is that there are bands or individual players out there that are 40 years in that are making less money on a nightly scale than they were in the 80s. That's where our business has gone. It's gone to hell. It's gone to hell. People don't
Darby,
appreciate
it's so impressive to me to hear you talk, because you're humbled, and maybe this whole experience has humbled you a little bit. I don't know, but Lord God in heaven, I mean, like, I was looking through. Actually, I was my favorite part of your documentary, through the Telus documentary, there was how excited you were looking at the pictures. You know, and we can't live in the past, but I could see a little side of Darby Mills, like, ah, she's a fan. She's not just, you know, a rock goddess, but she's a fan, because you were touring with and met Kiss, you know, on tour, with Aerosmith on tour, with Heart on tour, with what else was it?
Whitesnake.
Whitesnake on tour. You know, Quiet Riot. I was like, oh my God, these are the names of the day, and you were right there with them in the same stadiums. So that's, to me, is super impressive. You know, and to hear you so humbled today, it's awesome.
Perhaps by the end of the original Headpins, I might have had my head up in the clouds a little bit. I think it's really hard not to. Yeah, I look at the likes of Justin Bieber, and I really do feel for he's not a kid anymore. I mean, he's older than me now. When I was fired from the Headpins in '85, so, but I was 21 when I got the gig, and was a bar band singer, and all of a sudden I was doing concerts, and we were breaking records with record sales, and, you know, I look back and giggle at those times. That was 4 years, not even 5 years of just and getting your head around that stuff. And we had this much popularity or success compared to the Biebs, right? So yeah, I kind of did a left turn, but not that I agree with everything Justin did, but I understand it. As I get older, I understand that. But getting fired from the Headpins, I was pretty humble right there. I don't know if people, I told the story before, but realized that when I got fired, I was told the day after we finished the ZZ Top tour, which was massively huge for us as well as ZZ Top. We were supposed to go do the whole American tour with ZZ Top, and we were getting encores every night. But we weren't. The crowd was going crazy every night, and ZZ Top was not giving us encores. We were doing that well, I think. And I remember it was in Montreal or Quebec, that our dressing room was underneath the stands in the arena, and the people were stomping on the what are they called, the seats that we were underneath, and stuff was falling out on our food and stuff, right? It was like, are you kidding me? This is crazy. They're loving us. They gotta let us back on, and they didn't. And that happened for the whole tour. And we got to Calgary, and Calgary was at that time our biggest draw in Canada. Calgary loved the Headpins. We were doing stuff in Calgary, and we did the show. It was in the Saddle Dome, and I remember people still had lighters at the time, and the interior of the inside of the Saddle Dome was white with cigarette lighters. We left the stage, the crowd went wild. We didn't even get down the stage. and the room lights didn't come back on, and normally that's what they'd do. They'd turn the house lights on, and they didn't come on, and it's like the crowd is so wild. They didn't want the same repeat as it happened in Quebec or Montreal, where the crowd was crazy and they booed ZZ Top when the lights came on. That's right. So they're thinking they didn't want that to happen again, so they're giving us an encore. So we booted up on the stage. We're like, wow! We did the encore. We walk up the stage, we're like, we're gods. We walk in the dressing room, and then boom! Joe Jackson was the name of our manager at the time, and he says, "Shit," or something along those lines. It's like, what? We did great. Are you kidding? What's going on? And he's like, no, I just got pulled aside by their ZZ Top's road manager. We fucked up, pardon my language, but
Safe place.
the house system intercom went down and they couldn't get the lights turned on. So you've taken the show 3 minutes over. They're going to have to pay union fees for 3 minutes over, because God knows ZZ Top can't take 3 minutes out of their set. And we've lost the American tour.
Oh.
We get to Vancouver. We do the show in Vancouver, and I get fired the next day. Anyway, strangely enough, I retained the Headpin deal with MCA Records, not MacLeod, I was baffled. Ab leaves the Headpins and goes and joins Jimmy Barnes from Australia, who ends up on the ZZ Top tour in the States.
Oh.
Right? It's like, what? But it's just it's crazy, you know? So there were crazy times, like stuff like that was happening. Boom, 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 boom. You know, so yeah, reality set in. I went to Europe via MCA and recorded with at Eel Pie, which is Pete Townsend's studio. And I had Greg Walsh was the producer who did part of producing for the Tina Turner Private Dancer album, which was massive. I had Tony Levin playing bass. I had a conga player from Santana. I had the backup singer from Mike and the Mechanics. I had Tina Turner's guitar player. Yeah, and I came home for a break.
You couldn't have put together a good band, apparently. Eh?
You know what? Honestly, I had nothing to do with that. That was Greg Walsh. That was the producer who called all these people in. And I came home. We had 6 songs recorded. I came home for a bit of a break to try and do some more writing. And we get a call from Eel Pie going, okay, you're back in a week and we haven't heard anything from your label. What, can you tell us what's going on? And we're like, no, like shit. So my then manager at the time and I flew to Studio City in LA, which is where MCA was based at the time, got invited into the new A&R manager's office. So the man that signed the Headpins and kept me on was no longer employed. And the new man just sat me down, us down, and said, yeah, we're going to break a female artist this year. We're just not sure if it's going to be you, who someone else signed, or this young 16-year-old who's never sang live before, but we really think she has something. And so it's like, they got 150 grand American into this project already. They're not going to let me go. So we talked about it. Said, no, so we need to know now, because Eel Pie is, you know, they want to know what's going on. And he said, yeah, well, we're going to break Tiffany. So, you know, a year after getting fired from the Headpins, I no longer have a record deal. I came home and then lost my management deal. You know, so it's like you got to be strong to survive in pretty much any business. This is not a single here. Everybody's got to work hard to survive, and just appreciating that and being real is so important. You know?
But you never gave up, Darby. I mean, that was a crushing blow. Let's be honest, that was a crushing blow, because you were on top of the world. You know, so what did you do then? Is that when the Darby Mills Project started?
No, hell, I crawled into bed and 6 months later crawled out due to a sweet, dear to this day friend, Lisa, who pulled me out into a party zone for about a year, which helped me get my head out of my butt. and maybe realize that life did still go on. And then I put a band together called, I think, I put a band together for Expo, which was called Don't Look Down, I think, which had horn sections, and it was like a 15-piece band. That was really, really fun, but there were no more gigs. It's too hard to pay 15 people. Just like, yeah, can't do this. Doesn't make any kind of financial sense, but it was fun having a full horn section and backup singers and whatever. But so that lasted for a bit. I put a few different bands together, and then I put my husband built a recording studio. It was a fabulous studio. Unfortunately, it came crumbling down when we found out the person that helped to fund it had actually embezzled all the money from a couple of the banks that he managed, and a huge movie trailer company that had 6 or 7 trailers booked for the movie industry at the time was also something he funded. I think 8 or 9 businesses went down at the same time, but at least we got Flying or Never Look Back recorded before they padlocked the doors on us. So, I mean, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. Nobody knows the trouble that's been.
This is great stuff, because I'll tell you, when I was watching the documentary, there was a line in there, and I was talking to David with this today. You basically said something about, I don't have a pension, so either I go and I do this or I end up working at Walmart. Something, and I'm paraphrasing, but a lot of people don't realize that even what's going on now, some very, very famous musicians could be teetering on the brink of, disaster because of what's taking place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's only the top maybe 5% that are coasting with their income via what they do for a living, and those are the biggies. I wish I could state the correct numbers, but I remember hearing something about Drake, who, when this statement came out, was the most downloaded artist in the world. And so these are not the correct numbers, but I'm just trying to set up a scene here. For every million downloads that he got, he earned 10 grand.
Yeah.
What? How does an artist of my caliber, who's lucky to get 10,000 downloads in a year, lucky to get that many, how do you survive on that? And that's how you make your money if you're not playing live. Or you make jewelry, which is something else that I've done in the meantime to try and bring in some extra cash. But no, actually, that all came about because I realized a creative soul that is not creating becomes stagnant, and you get stale, and you get angry, and you get bitter. So find something. If you're not creating music, and not everybody can write, and I want to say that writing is something that's expected if you're a rounded musician. I've done my writing. I'm not prolific at it. It's like pulling a scab off a huge bandage for me, or of a scar. It's torture, but I realize it's something that you need to do. But if you're a creative soul, just find something that you can create and look at and go, I did that, I accomplished that, and your outlook just becomes better. It's my meditation, actually. It's what making jewelry is for me, and it's just been I've been so grateful and lucky enough to have people enjoy what I make and pay me for it.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, it's one of the things I also wanted to ask you, and it was a statement that you made a couple of minutes ago. So obviously you're aware, and it's going to be, you've had people come up to you and say, you've inspired me. I've listened to you since whenever. You have one of the most recognizable voices in our little old country. Having said that, do you hear artists now and you go like, holy crap? And I don't name names. I don't want you to name names, but do you go like, wow, like that person is there, and they've got 1/15 of my talent. And if I only had the break, I go through that myself. And I didn't have an album that sold, went platinum in Canada. So you must sometimes hear those people and go, oh.
First of all, double platinum.
Oh, sorry. Schooled again, Darby Mills. Schooled again.
You know what? I've been saying this.
Barstools Bandtalk, the complete Mountain Music bucket list.